Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
When you share your food, you share your heart. So what's on your table this holiday season? Save on your festive feast at Kroger with delicious deals on all the holiday classics. Or wow the crowd with something new, like a quinoa stuffed butternut squash. It's sure to add a pop of color to your spread. How about a sweet potato casserole with a crunchy oat streusel topping? Made with care for the sweet tooth and the savory tooth. With Kroger, fill your table with love and watch as your guests' hearts get as full as their bellies. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
The holidays are here at the Home Depot, so let's get to decorating. Find your perfect tree in our huge assortment of shapes, sizes, and styles. Like the easy-to-assemble Jackson Noble Fir, with pre-lit branches perfect for styling with all your favorite ornaments. Or the Flock Starry Light Fraser Fir, with over 1,900 pre-lit memory wire branches that keep their shape so it's ready right out of the box. Ooh. Find the perfect tree now at the Home Depot.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your daily reminder that the Reds sit top of the league and top of the Champions League, which is always a nice little bonus. But the most important thing is to be top of the league. And currently, Liverpool look very pretty sitting top of the league. When you look at the Premier League table right now, it just gives you a nice sense of calm. 5 points clear of Manchester City, 9 clear of everybody else. That's a really, really nice position to be in after 11 games. Obviously, it's far too early to be getting overly excited by anything, but it's a really positive start, and we're approaching the third, 1/3 into the season kind of point, and you can start to glean some things. You can start to feel confident that everything we're doing looks sustainable. We're averaging just under 2 goals a game scored. We're averaging about half a goal per game conceded. This all looks sustainable. And remember, we've done this with Alisson Becker missing quite a few games. So it's not like a thing where we've had everybody fit all the time. We've had injuries. We have dealt with injuries this season already. We've just dealt with them well, and we've had players come off the bench and come into the team and perform really well. Queeveen has stepped up very well this year and likely done his chances of getting a sizable move next summer. A lot of good. There's reports yesterday, I think, that Chelsea are showing interest. Queeveen, being both a footballer and a goalkeeper, does lend itself to Chelsea, who, have signed 80 goalkeepers in the last year or so. So it was only a matter of time before they were linked, but I do feel like it's an inevitability that he'll go next summer, and probably for a good fee. We've had some defensive issues in terms of we're a little bit easy to play through, but the centre-backs are playing well. The left-backs have been okay. Trent is playing well defensively. And the midfield, while not great defensively, is doing a lot of good work defensively in the second phase. So they're getting played through, but then they're recovering quite well. And they're filling gaps really well. And that seems sustainable. It really does seem sustainable. So I was looking at this yesterday on my Two-Footed podcast and kind of trying to project out over the next 8 games, because that would get us to the halfway point of the Premier League season. And we've got a more favourable run than what we've just come out of. There are some tough games in there without question, but you know, I think we've been through a difficult run here. We've got Southampton up next. You'd fancy us to win that. Then it's City at home. Normally you would say a draw is a good result, but given City look very fragile at the moment, given they don't have Rodri, and given we have the ideal centre-backs to cope with Erling Haaland, you'd feel confident going into that game. Now, they still have tremendous players, KDB, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, at his best, is a very, very good player. There's still a lot of danger in that team. But with how we're playing at the moment and the way we're just finding ways to win games, I think you'd feel confident that we can beat City at home. Then it's Newcastle away. It's a midweek game. We normally do well there. They haven't been good this season. But I think a draw there would be a strong result. I think we'd be happy with the draw. Then it's Everton away in the derby. And look, it is the derby, but they're dreadful. Like, they are awful. We should be going there and winning. There cannot be any excuses. We need to go there and win that game. From there, it's Fulham at home. And I think we'd all agree that's a game we should be winning. They've had a decent start to the league campaign, but it's a game we should be winning. Then Tottenham away before Christmas. That's tough. But they are wide open. You'd take the draw if it was given. Leicester home on Boxing Day, we should be winning that. And then West Ham is game 19. Away from home, I think it's a late kickoff on a Saturday. It's still a winnable game. It's still a game we should be going and winning. So that will be 6 wins and 2 draws over the next 8 games. And I don't think that's being overly ambitious. I don't think that's being delusional about what our chances are. I think that's quite realistic, maybe even edging on conservative, given Tottenham have not been overly impressive this season. They've already lost 5 times, including at home to Ipswich. Given Newcastle have not been impressive this season, and we do always tend to do well up there, like, there is definitely a good possibility we can win all 8 games, but let's temper things a little bit, and let's say we win 6 and draw 2. And that gives us 20 more points. So we hit the 19 game mark with 48. Now, looking at the fixtures for Arsenal and Manchester City, I had them doing similar enough to how we do. I think Arsenal could win 7 and draw 1, giving them 22 points over the next 8 games. And I had City actually with 6 wins and 2 defeats, which would be 18 points. That's them losing to us, and I think I had them losing away to Villa as well. So what that would mean is at the turn of the year, 19 games in, we'd have 48, and both of them would have 41 points. So we'd have a 7-point lead. I would feel more confident in our ability to take 20 points from the next 8 games than I would in City's ability to take 18 from the next 8 games, based on what we've seen recently. Based on what we've seen this season. Now, Arsenal's run is very favourable. The toughest game is United, and that's only a tough game now because United have got a new manager, and Amorim's really good. But I still don't know that I trust them to win 7 and draw 1. I still think there's a defeat or two potentially in there. I had an Arsenal fan say to me on Blue Sky today that he thinks Arsenal will go unbeaten for the rest of the season. And I didn't respond to it because I'm trying to be nice. But I think that's delusional to think that they'll go unbeaten the rest of the season. But the bottom line of it is that even if they do, it might not be enough. Because let's say they take 22 points. Let's say, and we take 20 and we get to the turn of the year 7 points clear. Even if they were to go unbeaten the remainder of the season, they're still relying on us to drop points. They still need us to slip up. They don't control their own destiny. And they have to come to Anfield at the end of the season. And I don't fancy the chances. If we're closing in on the title, I don't fancy the chances of getting out of Anfield. Maybe with a point, but I don't think that'd be enough by then. As long as we've kept ourselves in the right place. Now, part of keeping ourselves in the right place is, I think, taking advantage of the situation we find ourselves in and being aggressive in January and going out and addressing the issues in the squad. The left back, the lack of a holding midfielder, the players we wanted in the summer. Now, James Jimbo Pearce has been on, I think it's one of the Athletics podcasts, and said that there's nothing concrete at the moment. But let's be honest, James Pearce wouldn't know either way. James Pearce didn't know that Jurgen Klopp was leaving until Jurgen Klopp announced it. James Pearce didn't know that Michael Edwards was coming back until Michael Edwards announced it. James Pearce didn't know what was going on with the manager situation until the club leaked it, not to him, but to others, that Arne Slot was the top target. With the greatest of respect to Jimbo, he's not in the inner circle. He's not the one getting these stories. Paul Joyce and David Ornstein are the only ones really getting access. And what they get is what the club gives them. So the club could well have bids in for players. Unless it leaks from the other side, they're not finding out until the club want them to find out. Now, would Real sell Tchouaméni, who was the player that sparked that conversation on that podcast, according to Henry Jackson's latest piece on This is Anfield? Maybe, maybe not. It would all depend on what their financial situation is and what they want to do in January. Now, they've lost 2 starting defenders to ACL tears already this season, Carvalho and Militao. So it may well be that they need to go in January and bring in a right back and a centre back, or one or the other. I would say they probably need to do both. Real have obviously spent incredible amounts of money in recent years on that stadium of theirs. Complete restructure, rebuild of the Bernabeu. The bones of it are still there, but they've completely gutted it. They've built the new exterior. They've built the new roof. They've lifted the pitch. They've taken out an enormous amount through an excavation plan, which allows them to drop the pitch down off the surface so that, concerts and other things can take place there. And one of the things they were hoping to do to really monetize the stadium was to have regular concerts there. But that has fallen foul of local planning authorities because of noise ordinance. That's a sizable blow to Real Madrid's financial plan. They haven't spent insane amounts in the transfer market. It's been, one big one and a small one each summer. They haven't gone out and spent 400 or 500 million in a summer. But be under no illusion, the Kylian Mbappe deal was very expensive. Very, very expensive. The Jude Bellingham deal the year before was very, very expensive. So it may well be that Real don't have a ton of money to play with in January, both in real terms, like in actual cash terms, and also then for UEFA's financial fair play rules. They might not have a ton of wiggle room. So they might need to sell somebody in order to go and get the centre-back and the right-back that they want. Now, it may well be that they just say to Tchouaméni, you're now a centre-back for us. He's played there quite a bit under Carlos, so maybe that's just what they do, is they slot him in at centre-back next to Rudiger, and that's what they roll with. And maybe they find, a decent, cheap option at right-back. But if they are being forced to sell somebody, Tchouaméni's probably the obvious one. Because if you look at their midfield, they've got Valverde, they've got Camavinga, they've got Jude, they've got Luka Modric. They only play 3, sometimes 2. They could realign their team a little bit and maybe sell Tchouaméni and then potentially look to bring in another midfielder next summer. So he could be available. And I think if he is available, he's definitely someone we will have interest in. He was somebody that the analytics team were very, very keen on before he even went to Monaco, let alone when we tried to buy him when he decided to go to Real instead. So I do think there's a possibility that there's something there. There'll definitely be interest from our side. There might well be interest from his side if he is to leave. I don't know what the finances would be, though. It may well be that Real would want more than they paid, which I don't think we would do. The other name that's starting to do the rounds a little bit, and I don't know if this is just people on social media, the usual ITKs starting to, just get bored and look for some attention for themselves by dropping a name. But the other name is Carlos Baleba, who Brighton signed in 2023 to replace Moises Caicedo. And I think if we had been more proactive at the time, when we didn't get Caicedo, we would have jumped and got this kid who was coming off a really impressive run with Lille in the 22-23 season when he broke in and established himself that year. They paid 30 million plus 30 million euro, including add-ons, which, is buttons really. I think if we'd been more proactive, we would have gone and gotten him, but we had Jörg Schmadtke. So, Baleba's done really well at Brighton. Last season was up and down. A 19-year-old coming into this league, it's always going to be inconsistent. But he had some absolutely phenomenal performances, including against us. This season, he has really kicked on. He is absolutely outstanding right now. And he offers a bit of everything. He's a really good passer of the ball. He's a great carrier of the ball. He's very, very good defensively. He's strong. He's quick. He's relentless at trying to win the ball back.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Gift sport with gifts from Nike. From the retro Vomero 5 sneaker designed with Zoom Air cushioning to fleece engineered with lightweight warmth and next-level comfort, we have the perfect gift for any athlete on your list. Shop now at your nearest Nike store.
Given the age, given the talent, I think he would tick all the boxes for us. And he fits well into how we want to play. And you could see him in a midfield too with Gravenberch playing a little bit higher. You could see him with Alexis very easily. I think him and Curtis would be a really strong pairing as well. So he would fit into what we want. And also, given his age, it's not like he's going to come in and be immediately demanding to start every game. He's not going to come with that expectation. He doesn't have that at Brighton. He doesn't start every game at Brighton. So if you were to bring him in, it's not necessarily saying we're breaking up the Gravenberch Alexis pairing. It's just we're adding another option in there, an option we feel is better suited to how we want to play than Endo or Tyler Morton, both of whom could be sold in January to go towards funding the signing of Carlos Baleba. And we think for the long term, this is a great signing for us. This is someone, he'll turn 21 in January. This is someone we believe can be at this club for 8, 9, 10 years and absolutely excel. You know, you factor that with the age profiles of Gravenberch. Alexis is 26, Curtis is 24. I think he might turn 25 in January. Dominic is still young. We've also got Triniani on the horizon. We've got Stefan Bajcetic, depending on his development and how that goes, how his body recovers from, you know, missing a year of football. He's been up and down for Salzburg. But all of a sudden, you'd be looking at a really young, dynamic, versatile group of midfielders that Baleba would fit in really well with. From both a talent level, his specific skill set and what it can offer, his malleability to play in a 2 or a 3 with either type of partner. I think that's definitely something that would interest us. I'd love us to be very, very keen on Baleba in January to go and try and get that deal done. I do think Brighton would be open to a sale. I do. Because when you look at their squad, they're quite stacked in central midfield. Like, for right now, obviously Milner and Solly March are injured, but they can both play in central midfield, even if it's not their best positions. But you've got Jakob Moder, you've got Yasin Yari, who's been really good for them this year, Mats Wiefer, Matt O'Reilly, Jack Hinchelwood, Kadioglu can play in midfield. Then you look at some of the players they've got out on loan. Valentin Barco can play in central midfield. Malik Yalkoi looks like he looks like he might be the next N'Golo Kante. So they've got plenty of options already in-house where they could actually sell Baleba and maybe not need to replace him. They could potentially take that money and put it somewhere else, like into centre-backs, which they do need. I do think there's a world in which, like, they went out in the summer and specifically targeted Mats Wiefer and Matt O'Reilly, both of whom are older than Carlos Baleba. O'Reilly is 23. He turns 24 tomorrow, so happy birthday to him. And Wiefer is 25 and just literally turned 25 a couple of days ago. And they're big, powerful, strong midfielders, both of whom will want to be starting at Brighton given their ages. And they went out in the summer and they spent €30 million on Wiefer, and then on O'Reilly they spent in and around the same. I don't know that they bought them to be squad players. Like I said, Ayari's playing really well. Yalkoi looks like he's going to be great. Hinchelwood is someone they're incredibly high on. So even if they did sell, and I think Baleba is the most talented of the whole group, but even if they did sell him, they've still got a really good group of 5 midfielders plus other options that can play in there. So I do think there's a possibility they'd be open to a sale. We've got a good relationship with them. I think that's something we could definitely tap into. And I think Baleba would improve us. He'd certainly improve our squad. Even if he doesn't come straight into the team, he would improve the squad. And I know that there's obvious concerns about signing any player that will have AFCON to go to. But look at the options we have already. Like, we're top of the league with the current options. We're adding Baleba to that. Even if he goes to AFCON the next time it's on, we still have a midfield group that was capable of topping the Premier League. And by then, Niani's a year older. Bisetic could be back and in the mix. So I don't see any downside at all into a move for Baleba. He fits a position of need, fits the profile of the squad, huge upside. And by all accounts, very, very popular among his teammates at Brighton. Very, very well liked. A good human being, which we know is important to the club when it comes to recruitment. They don't sign bad apples. By all accounts, Baleba is a gem. So it would be great if there was a move there. I think that's one that we'd all be keen on. There seems to be a growing push around Milos Kerkez. Now, much of the reporting is coming from Hungary. So that would be the agent, you would imagine, discussing that with people he's close to in the Hungarian media. There's nothing so far coming from the Liverpool side or the Bournemouth side. If there was crappy English sources like Graham Bailey or Football Transfers or Football Insider or Give Me Sport, or if it was some of these type of spoofers that had initiated the talk, you would just kind of dismiss it and say, well, like Richard Hughes signed him for Bournemouth, so Liverpool, everybody knows they need a new left back. Richard Hughes already signed the kid once, clear he likes him, so, 2 + 2 = 5, and let's make that one a story we run. But again, it seems to be mostly coming from the Hungarian side, which would suggest that at least talks between the club and the player may have taken place. May have, may not have, but may have. And again, Milos Kerkez fits well into the age profile. He's literally just turned 21 2 weeks ago. He's already got a season and a bit of Premier League experience under his belt. He's someone we will have gotten, I'm sure, a character reference on from Richard Hughes and then from Dominic Szoboszlai, who's his international captain. And having Szoboszlai at the club would make it easier for Kerkez to assimilate into life at Liverpool. He's a player that's been around. He's been at a bunch of different clubs, so I don't think he'll have any sort of culture shock moving to a new club. If you get a player that's been kind of ingrained in one club and they move, you can often see them struggle to adapt to life. But with Kerkez, he hasn't settled anywhere in quite a while. Like, it's been move for the last 5 years, other than this season. This is the first time since he left Rapid Vienna in 2019 that he's beginning the season with the same club he was at the previous season, which, would suggest that he's a player who's comfortable adapting to new surroundings, because he's never had any real sort of dip. It's all been strong progression for him. He's a player Arne will know really well because he was in the Eredivisie when Arne was winning league titles. Arne obviously has really good links to Alkmaar, so he'll be able to get character references on him from there too. So there'll be nothing about the kid that we won't know. We'll have it covered from all angles, from his time at Alkmaar to his time at Bournemouth, his national team service. We have people that will have the inside track on him. And again, we have the guy who bought him for Bournemouth. So you'd imagine he'd have done his background work there too, his due diligence. Kerkez and Baleba really would give us such a push in January. And again, the great thing with Kerkez is at 21, he's not going to walk in expecting to start every single game. You know, he's going to understand that Andy Robertson is a Liverpool legend. He's been here a long time. He's won everything there is to win for him. Because, well, other than the Europa League last year, Robbo's the establishment at Liverpool. But Kerkez will be made aware of the fact that Arne Slot is running a meritocracy. So if you perform and you're playing better than him, you're going to be the starter. And what better way for him to develop from a defensive point of view than by having the best centre-back in the world play next to him, talking him through games? And he'd fit like a glove into the attacking side. And if you bring in Kerkez, I think him and Trent works as long as the midfield has that strong defensive presence in it. But it also means that if Trent leaves, you can then potentially go with a more defensive option and have Kerkez as your more attack-minded fullback, which Arne did when he was at Feyenoord. You could see Kerkez playing the Hartman role quite well. And then maybe you go for more of a defensive presence, just like a Jules Koundé type of profile at right back to replace Trent. Maybe you go with an attacking profile. Maybe you go Pedro Porro and you just say to your midfield, you're just going to have to do a little bit more. That's fine. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But I think if we landed those two in January, or between January and next summer, if we got one in each, I don't think we could go far wrong with those two. I really don't. Are there other left-back options that you might prefer? Probably. There might be some midfield options you might prefer, but nobody's looking at Carlos Baleba and Milos Kerkez and saying they'd be bad signings for us. I think everybody accepts these are two really, really good young players with massive futures in front of them. And they're the type of players we should be looking to bring in. Now, moving forward, I'd very much be in favour of us buying a Kerkez before he goes to Bournemouth, buying a Baleba before he goes to Brighton. I think that's the point of having a second club, is that you can buy them and loan them there so that they can develop, or you can potentially buy them through that club, depending on the cost. We have really good news in that Alisson Becker is back in training, which is obviously a huge positive. We know Harvey is back in training. Jayden Dan's also back in training, which is, I don't know how much he's going to play, if at all, but it certainly means he can get his fitness back up to speed and then get the loan in January to go and get game time. So that's all positive. Federico Chiesa looks like he's doing bits of training, but not yet full training. And Jota is apparently a week away. So, all is looking good. Trent then is the other one that we'll hopefully have back soon. They said it was more precautionary than anything when he was taken off in the last game before the international break. So against Villa, so with a bit of luck, there's nothing there that's going to keep him out for too long. Southampton ever-present ruled out. Southampton will be without one of their key players when they host Liverpool this weekend. Who is this key player? Jan Bednarak. Well, he's not very good anyway, so it might not be a big blow. But yeah, he has played every game. He's just not very good. So what would that mean? If they go with a back three, Jack Stevens would start in it. Howard Bellis, obviously, he will start regardless. Who'd be the third centre back? Would it be one of the younger ones, like a Nathan Wood, maybe? Brought in from Swansea in the summer. Don't think it'll be Ronnie Edwards, and he played once so far. I think that was one of the cups. They've played Walker Peters in the back three this season for his quickness and covering ability, but that then weakens them at fullback. You'd be looking at Sugawara and probably Ryan Manning as the fullbacks, which isn't great. It's good for us. Bella Kotchap hasn't played this year, but I don't think he's fully back yet after he had like full shoulder reconstruction. But yeah, they are short. I think they're going to be missing 7 players. Aaron Ramsdale, I think, has a broken finger, so he's likely going to miss out. Gavin Basunu, who was first choice before he tore his Achilles, he's still out. Will Smallbone is out. Flynn Downs is out. Ross Stewart is out. Ryan Fraser is a doubt. So it does look like they're going to be missing quite a few players, which again is all fucking gravy for us. We won't complain too much. What else do we have here? Darwin Núñez hooked at half time, but Ronald Koeman hands Liverpool 2 favours. Okay, so Núñez played in the first half against Brazil and then came off. Whether he was any good or not, I've no idea, because he lost 5 of the 7 duels, so I'm guessing he wasn't playing well. Gravenberch and Cody did not start in the game against Bosnia. They did come off the bench. Gravenberch in the 71st minute, Cody in the 77th. So that's not bad. That's not bad. Alexis and Diaz both played 90 minutes for Argentina and Colombia, respectively. I really had hoped Alexis wouldn't play. Like, he desperately needs a rest. I wouldn't be against him not starting against Southampton. Maybe you go Gravenberch with Curtis and then Dominic plays ahead of them. We'll see. Let's jump then to AnfieldIndex.com and see what the latest offerings are. There's a piece about Ali. There's a piece about international duty. A piece about our goalkeeping conundrum moving forward. A piece about Omar Marmoush. And a piece about our defence and how it's functioning. Podcast-wise, if you haven't listened to the latest buzz, it's a 2-parter on The Omen. So go and listen to that. Then make sure you listen to Simon Brundish and the Fatigue Index, joined by Rich Clark to discuss the biomechanical differences between male and female footballers. This is part of Simon's series on ACL injuries, which have become a plague in recent years, especially in the women's game. There's a new Scouted, where myself and Carl had a look at a potential, an ideal and a realistic signing from all the other Premier League clubs. We also picked our team of the season so far. And what else did we do? Oh, yeah. So off the back of the last Scouted, where we'd come up with the lists for the Transfer Committee pod, we had a question off the Discord regarding which combination of right back, left back, and defensive midfielder we would prefer. And there were 4 combinations. So we went through them and then we kind of picked our favourite and which one we go for. And there is a new Under Pressure. So make sure you give that a listen. The full complement of cast members on with Dan Kennett. So do give that a listen. Always very good. Talking about how good the Reds are, you can never get bored of it. Right, that's going to be me. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.